Hey all, Brennan here. I wanted to make a quick and totally unprepared video, a little bit more about recovery. I've been going through steps, trying to make videos and write reflections on them. And today I'm going to talk about probably the most controversial step in the AA program, or really in any 12-step program. And it's the one that probably keeps most people away from recovery. And it's actually the one that kept me away from getting recovery for a really long time. And so I think this is a really important piece to clarify. So step 2 is came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Yeah, so that's a hard one to swallow, and I know so many people who say things like, I would totally go to AA, but I don't believe in God, or I really don't think a 12-step program could work for me because it's all that God shit. And I used to say the same thing, and I said things like, if you need a higher power to, stay sober, you're weak. And I used to think that believing in God was weak, and that was not being able to do things yourself. And that's one way of thinking. It's not the only way of thinking. It's not the right way of thinking. It's not the wrong way of thinking. It's a way of thinking that did work for me at some points in my life. It really helped me be self-sufficient. But it's also a way of thinking that really caused me a lot of problems. For people who know me really well and have known me for a really long time, I was the biggest nihilist, most nothing happens for a reason, everything's random, we're all spiraling towards meaninglessness, nothing means anything, fuck it, just do what you want. I was totally nihilist hedonist the whole way. I was a staunch atheist. And a lot of that definitely comes from having been raised very, very oppressively Catholic, and yeah, I was institutionalized. I was very institutionalized as a child. I went to Catholic school my whole life. It was really hard. It was abusive in a lot of ways. I was told I was going to hell a lot growing up, by teachers, by adults, and I don't know. I could talk a lot about my lapse from Catholicism. A lot of it. Well, let me just read a paragraph out of here first that kind of talks about where because the step 2 and the 12 and 12 kind of lists different types of people and where they when they come to the program where they're at with God, and kind of imagines these different types, which AA literature tends to do a lot. And it's funny because you can kind of find yourself in these different types. And this is the one that I ended up starring and really stuck out to me. And so I'm just gonna read it real quick. Another crowd of anonymous alcoholics says, "We were plumb disgusted with religion and all its works. The Bible, we said, was full of nonsense. We could cite it chapter and verse, and we couldn't see the beatitudes for the begats. In spots, its morality was impossibly good. In others, it seemed impossibly bad. But it was the morality of the religious themselves that really got us down. We gloated over the hypocrisy, bigotry, and crushing self-righteousness that clung to so many believers, even in their Sunday best. How we loved to shout the damaging fact that millions of the good men of religion were still killing one another off in the name of God. This all meant, of course, that we had substituted negative for positive thinking. After we came to Alcoholics Anonymous, we had to recognize that this trait had been an ego-feeding proposition. In belaboring the sins of some religious people, we could feel superior to all of them. Moreover, we could avoid looking at some of our own shortcomings. Self-righteousness, the very thing that we had contemptuously condemned in others, was our own besetting evil." That just that was me. That was me. I spent so much time talking about how ignorant and closed-minded all religious people were, but it's that's really black and white thinking, and that's me making a huge generalization about everybody that believes in some sort of higher power and about the concept of higher power in general. My anger, when I first got into AA, it took me a really long time of just listening and trying to really keep my mind open, to stop rolling my eyes every time someone said God. And then I started to realize, oh, God is a word that a lot of people use for something like a higher power. And what is this higher power? Do I believe in one? Should I believe in one? And I do believe in a higher power now, you know, and like it's really weird because for a long time I didn't, and like I said, I was really angry at religion. I mistook the concept of a higher power for the God that I was raised with, and the God that I was raised with was unloving and judgmental, and the love was conditional. It was a God that would damn you. You know, it's like it's really negative, and it was about 3 months into doing AA that I started to realize, wow, this step 2 actually gives me the opportunity to create my own sense of a higher power in the world. Because honestly, like they say this in AA a lot, like when I was out there and when I was like, I got lucky. That's what I called it. Like all the times I didn't get arrested and like didn't die and didn't like I came home. I called it luck, and I don't know if I could call that luck now. I really don't. And I don't really have like a human way of explaining the 180 that happened last September, October, November of 2013 when I started looking for help and for a program, and that point that my life started to matter to me, and I can't explain that. I have no way of explaining that. And like those are the kinds of things that falls outside of my vocabulary and fall outside my ability to comprehend. Just like these things, like why does a friend die who never had these problems with drugs, and why am I alive? Like why? I don't know. Like questions like that just kind of some people call their higher power like the great shrug when it's anything that they can't really explain. Must be God, and like it's. I honestly, looking back at my past self, where I was like this staunch atheist who like knew all the answers, and like, I mean, to a certain extent, like having been raised Catholic, like I do know the catechism. I know I can give you all the reasons I disagree with Catholicism. I can back them up. I know the Bible verses to back them up and everything. Like, so I definitely know where I stand on religion and can have like a constructive debate about it. But as far as being spiritual goes, that's very different. I totally lost what I was saying there. I mean, when I came into AA, like here I was, this person who didn't really think this was gonna work, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking try it. I'm gonna try and do it without God. I'm gonna try and do it without the higher power thing, and do it my own way. It's gonna be fine. And I saw all these people. And I saw miracles happen in AA rooms. Like, excuse me. I saw, like, people who, like me, should have been dead a long time ago, for whatever reason, still alive, and now in these rooms, standing up and speaking with conviction, and speaking with confidence, and seeing their words help other people. And, like, I think that's a reason... why a lot of people in AA groups, and this is kind of how I first started to be able to conceptualize a higher power, tend to see the fellowship itself as a higher power, because you're here looking at this thing that kind of, it works for people, and you see it working right in front of you, and you can't really explain it, but it's like that warm feeling you get when you're in a room with a bunch of other alcoholics. That's something bigger than you. That's something you can't really explain. And having been in this program for a little bit longer and like learning more about like the nature of like the psychological stuff that kind of lays at the core of my drinking, I understand that it's very important for me because in a lot of ways I have a lot of trouble validating myself and feeling loved in the world, like a lot. So being able to create a higher power that loves me is like really nice. And also, like, I get in these moments because I'm so anxious sometimes, or all the time. Like, I get in these moments where, and this is just, how alcoholics are, where it's like, we want to control everything. Like, they say we want to write the script, we want to play all the parts, we want to direct it. Like, we want everything to, like, work out according to what we want. Like, and it doesn't work like that. And when I get into those moments now where I'm like, oh my God, like why? And I'm so frustrated, I'll like step back and be like, you can't control this situation. Like, you aren't in control. There are things bigger than you. There are forces at work. Like, call them what you will. But you can't control the, like, your higher power could be the weather. It could be the ocean. It could be rain. Like, it could be literally anything that's bigger than you and brings you outside of yourself in those moments when you're so lost in your own head. Like, that's what I need a higher power for. And, you know, my higher power is birds. Like, and, you know, in the like I've always loved birds, and it's so strange because like in the years where I was drinking and using, like I totally forgot how much I love birds, and how much my entire life has been defined by the pets that I kept, and they were all birds. Like I loved every single bird I've had, and they bring me so much joy. And it's in sobriety that I've gotten into bird watching. And the first thing I did when I decided to quit drinking, this is before I got into AA, is I bought a parrot. I spent $600 on a pet that's going to last like 30 years that I have to spend guaranteed an hour of time with or more a day. Like, hi, Larry. To force responsibility on myself. I'm like, I can't get drunk. I've been drunk around him once, like, since I got him, and it was awful. Like, he holds me accountable, and like, just being able to nurture this small little thing, and like give this delicate animal like so much love, and just watch this trust relationship that it's been built between us, like it really brought back a lot of my love of birds. And like, whenever I'm in like kind of a spot where I'm feeling really upset, I just remember, oh, there's birds. Like, there's these animals that exist that have such like human social structures and like human behaviors, but exist on like a separate plane from us, and they are in the sky, and they aren't connected or bothered by what happens here. Like, all day, a bird's day is like, they wake up, they get all excited and like talk to each other as the sun rises, and then they spend all day with their friends eating food, looking for shit, like doing whatever, foraging, hanging out, and then they take baths, and like the sun goes down and they all yell at the sun again together, and then they go to bed. And that's every day. It's just friends and forage, and like, it's so simple. And it's like that getting back to basics. Like, when I think about birds, that's what I think about. I think about the basics. Okay, you need sleep, you need food, you need like to go spend time with your friends. Like, be like a fucking bird. Like, don't be bothered by the weather. Like, go out and take a bath in a puddle when it's a thunderstorm. Like, it's fine. Like, I don't know. Hi. Yeah, he's being a brat right now. So yeah, I think I really want to stress to people who are like me and have really fraught relationships with religion, come here, to realize that like religion and having a spiritual self are two different things, and also that God, like the Christian God, and a higher power are two totally different things too. I don't believe in the creator God. I don't believe in God the way I was taught to believe in God, one who created the world and will come back at the end of time to redeem it. I don't believe in that. I have returned to a lot of theological study in sobriety. I've been reading a lot of, Hermeticism, and I've gotten really into Quakerism. I kind of conceive God as being an internal force that inspires each person towards an individualized path. And there are religions that believe those things, and you can find them, and that's pretty sweet. Yeah, actually, in the artist's way, there's actually a really handy acronym for God, which is good orderly direction, which I think is another good way of conceiving kind of like a higher power as being like, good orderly direction, like progress and healthy progress. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, if you're like me and you have this really fraught relationship with religion, where like, I was raised in these Catholic schools and like watched within my diocese really bad abuses happen. I'm from the Archdiocese of Boston. TV cameras at my church. Like, it was really bad, and it was really hard to watch that and like have all these, like, I'm very Catholic, and in a lot of ways I'm still very Catholic. It's informed who I am in so many ways, and like, so it was really hard to like defend my religion when I didn't. How do you defend your religion um when when people are raping children and no one's doing anything about it, like, and that really caused a lapse, and that broke a lot of hearts in my Catholic community, and then the letters came from the pulpit about gay people, and I didn't recognize my own religion, and I think it's left a lot of Catholics feeling very lost. I think this has been a trend for a really long time. I think it's why there's a lot of people in AA who are Catholic. There's a lot of overlap there. Um, we don't learn how to handle suffering as Catholics. You don't, like, and I think, I don't know if it was the way I was raised. My parents are very Southern, also very Irish, and it's just, you don't talk about your emotions. You don't talk about your problems. I don't know. I could talk for hours about alcoholism, clearly. So yeah, I mean, like I said, if not believing in God is what's holding you back from AA, just go to fucking AA, and like, I promise you'll find a way to make that work for you. Because that's all it's asking you to do, like, it says in the big book that these steps are not like, I mean, they're not like essential, they're not 100% rules. And I encourage everybody entering Alcoholics Anonymous to stay away from groups that take the Alcoholic Anonymous literature literally. Those are fundamentalists, and any fundamentalist is dangerous. Stay away from the Atlantic group. Stay away. Like, absolutely. Just saying that. They almost caused me to relapse within my first 30 days. It's really dangerous. Find groups that focus on progress, and like, I promise you, like, the 12 steps are a guide to living. They're a guide to making your life something that works for you. And I've found a way to get a higher power in my life, and that's enabled me to see past my own pain, and it's enabled my mind to open, and I was self-righteous. I was really self-righteous for a long time, and I still lean that way. And but I'm learning to listen, and to maybe try and believe in things I didn't really believe in before. So, again, if not believing in God is what's keeping you from walking into an AA meeting, just walk into a damn AA meeting, and I promise you, it's going to be wonderful. You're going to feel inspired, and eventually you'll find a way to make step 2 work for you.